Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
It could have been my pick of the week, but it's not. My pick of the week is our next book, and it's Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3.
You're just skipping right over the question, aren't you?
What's the question? Oh, thank you, man. And for our next book.
What's the question?
Oh, there we go. Okay, so check out. Hey there, comic fan. Welcome to Everything Comics. I'm your host, Bullseye Bob. And as of course, coming to you live in living color from the Refuge Coffee House, as we always do. And as you can see, I'm not alone today. I've got my good friend Bueller with me. How you doing there, Bueller?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Pickles?
Pickles?
Yeah.
What's up with the pickles, man?
I don't know. He just looks like a Pickles today.
Very cool. Well, it's good to have you on the show, man. And of course, this is the 29th episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. This is the show where we get together in a local coffee shop. We drink some great coffee. And we talk about the comic books that we picked up this week. And of course, we're talking about New Comic Book Day that happened just this last week on Wednesday, June 17th. A lot of great books that came out this week.
I got one.
Did you?
Yeah.
Truth be told, I didn't get very many myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with our LCS, but it seems like we're getting shorted all the time by Diamond. But we were able to get comic books this week, and so we do have some stuff to review. Before we do that, let's talk about the coffee that we're drinking today. What are you drinking, my friend?
I have a hazelnut latte. Mm-hmm. And I like it. It's good. Hazelnut's probably my favorite, so not bad at all.
Awesome.
It's been a while since you had me on here. What's the deal?
Hey, man, we've had a pandemic. We've had riots. We've had all kinds of stuff, man.
Excuse after excuse.
But it's good to have you back on, man. It really is. I myself am drinking a cold brew today. Of course, I love their cold brew. They make it with their espresso roast. I got some sugar-free vanilla sweetener inside of it, and it's really good.
Nice. Not bad at all. It looks like it's in like a alcohol glass.
It does. I'm drinking a pint of cold brew.
Not bad.
That's good stuff. So before we get into our show today, I do have a few announcements. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that check out the channel. In the last couple of days, I dropped another special episode of Having Comics with My Coffee, where I actually interview the owners and proprietors of the Refuge Coffee House. It was a fun time. We got a chance to be able to showcase to you guys who they are, the great people that they are, and this wonderful coffee house, how it got started. It's an awesome video. Check it out, please, if you could. And again, these are tough times. If you could, check out their website. They got a lot of great swag on there. It goes to help support keeping the lights on. And of course, as always, this is at 9217 Southeast Foster Road, right here in Portland, Oregon. If you're ever in town, look me up. Definitely coffee's on me. We'll get together, have some coffee, talk some comics, talk whatever. But this is a great place to just come and hang out. And so definitely check out the video. Next announcement that I have is we just found out in the last couple days that Shannon Maer is going to have a private CGC signing. That's right. You know, Shannon is a really good friend of the show. He's a good friend of the Comics with Bueller show. And, he's just an amazing cover artist. And he's actually signed up to do a private signing, which will have CGC submissions. If you have your own CGC account, you can send stuff in for him to sign. Cutoff is July 8th on that. And if you want to know more information, you go to capturedcollectible.com. And you can find out everything you need to know about that. But he's a great cover artist, and if you haven't checked out his stuff, I know we've showcased it on both of our shows. It's amazing.
Yep.
And then I am on another show. Here's our next announcement. I'm on another show. I'm on a show with this guy, another coffee and comic show. The original. This is true. Drops every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have an in-depth discussion on the latest in comic book industry news. This week's topic is a really good one. What's you know about our topic this week?
Market manipulation
Yeah.
I'm honestly, man, I'm looking at the comments. They're brutal. It should be an interesting conversation to have on Monday. So make sure you guys check that out. So.
For sure. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
I got my own opinions on it, but there are people who are already speaking very passionately on the subject.
It's very because there's different aspects of it, and there's insider manipulation as far as publisher goes.
Sure.
So people hit on that, and they hit on outside influence like YouTubers or personalities or something like that, or apps. There's a lot of opinions.
A lot of opinions.
We'll do our best to cover as much as we can. It might be a long episode, but
It's all right. It's all right.
It should be good. Maybe a two-parter.
That would be cool too.
Yeah.
But definitely check out the Comics with Bueller channel. He puts out a lot of great content, and our show is just one of them. He has the most watched preview video on YouTube that shows you every comic book that's coming out the following week. It's a must-have. Comic Book show it on a loop feed inside of their stores to kind of showcase what's going on the next week. And he puts out a lot of great content, so check out Comics with Bueller, and we'll see you there, folks. And so before we get into our reviews, one of the things that I always do is show the cover of the week. And this week's cover of the week comes from Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. And it is the Kale in You. I think that's how you say his name. I always butcher all these names.
Yeah, me too.
It's the B cover with Wonder Woman. I think it's an amazing cover. I think it's the cover that most exemplifies what's going on inside of the book, because it is a Wonder Woman-centric book on this one. There you go.
I like this cover.
That cover's amazing.
It's shiny. It's shiny.
I like shiny covers too.
So I was happy to get it.
I like shiny covers too, but there it is in all its glory, showing you on the screen. Of course, I always show the digital image. I love this one. That's the cover of the week. Death Knight's Metal #1, the variant cover by Kale and You. And okay, we're about to get into our reviews. One of the things that I wanted to say is I want to apologize. We don't have very many books this week. For whatever reason, Tifa keeps getting shorted by Diamond. I was looking for Strange Adventures. I didn't get that comic book. And there were a number of others that just weren't there. But we do have some good stuff. And let's go ahead and get into our reviews.
Awesome. And this guy tells me he's going to be cutting down on his books. He buys a lot of books.
I do buy a lot of books. I do.
His form of cutting down on his books, I haven't seen it yet.
This is true. Let's just talk about that.
Okay.
All right. So one of the things that's going on is I have reached out to a lot of the different comic companies to ask for digital readers because I just can't afford to keep doing what we're doing with the current economy the way that it is. I love being able to bring books to review, but I just can't afford them all.
Yep.
And so I've asked a lot of the companies if they wouldn't be, wouldn't mind giving me digital copies so that I could review for the show. I've gotten a couple of answers back, but for the most part, I haven't got very much of a response back. Still waiting.
Yep.
And so, we'll keep it afloat until we get some things back. But that was my initial thinking, is that I just can't keep going forward with it with finances the way they are. That makes sense?
Sure.
All right. So let's get into our books, folks. So my first book of the week this week is The Flash, Annual #3. This one's from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by 3 different artists. We have Steven Segovia, Brandon Peterson, and Carlo Paguloyan. I think that's how you say his name. And normally when there's 3 artists on a book, I don't notice it too much. I noticed it a bit in this book. There's some places where the artwork is just so much different from the other artists that it kind of sticks out. I don't know if you've been reading The Flash by Joshua Williamson, but it's one of the better books by DC, one of the more consistent books. Love Williamson stuff. This was kind of a weird book to me, though, because he basically picks up from Tom Taylor's writing on the Suicide Squad. And so you have this basically Captain Boomerang-centric story. The Flash was only in about half of it. And it's picking up from the storyline that Tom Taylor just did inside of the Suicide Squad, where Captain Boomerang is brought in, and all hell breaks loose. The Suicide Squad are now free. They don't have the bombs in their necks, and they're going after the guy who's pulling the strings of the new Task Force X. The book was so much fun because it's basically told kind of after the fact by Captain Boomerang. He's been captured, and he's kind of trying to recount how he finally came to be in their hands. And they're on this mission, and all of a sudden Deathstroke shows up. All hell breaks loose. Flash is in the middle of it. Great fight scenes. There's a brutal scene with Captain Boomerang getting the crap beat out of him by Deathstroke. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't been reading Suicide Squad, I would definitely suggest it. I haven't liked Suicide Squad in the last, 10 years. But this run by Tom Taylor is really good, and it was kind of cool to see Williamson pick up on what he's been doing and create kind of an offshoot story based upon what's been going on there.
I've never been a huge fan of the annuals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I did get this book because Flash is on my pull list, and I was surprised that Joshua Williamson wrote it. Because normally on the annuals, usually there's a guest writer, or at least they're divided up into stories and like multiple writers. Like they did it with the artwork on this one, but they still with one writer, which is kind of surprising. So I might actually read it because he's the one who wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I enjoyed it. It's not in the normal annual format where you've got like multiple stories inside of it. It's kind of a one and done.
Yeah, well, they just did the 750 one.
Yeah.
And that had all the different stories going on and stuff like that. So maybe that's why.
For sure. Yeah. But it felt like Williamson kind of took a break and took up a piece of a story that Tom Taylor was writing and created his own thing with the Flash in it. And I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Nice.
So definitely check that one out, folks. Okay, so book number 2 is The Man Who Effed Up Time, number 3 by Aftershock. This one is written by John Lehman, art by Carl Moster. So last time that we had, this book, issue number 2, the guy who effed up time, he basically had 48 hours with which to fix the time, the time stream. And in this book, it basically gets knocked down to 24. He's kind of going back and backtracking, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. Of course, in the current timeline, we have so many different things from so many different timelines coming into it. We have Abraham Lincoln, the 6th as president. We have police officers riding on dinosaurs. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So he's trying to go back and figure it out, and kind of understands finally that it was his future self that set him up to mess up the timeline. And when he's trying to fix it, he figures out that it's his future self who's trying to stop him. And so we get this kind of realization by the end of the book. And I can't wait to see where they go with it next. But definitely his future self comes back when he's about to finally figure out what's going on, knocks him out, and off we go into what the next book's going to be. Have you been reading this one?
I read the first one. I thought he was supposed to die in this episode.
He did. He got his head cut off.
Yeah.
Right?
But that was the actual tagline for the issue released from Aftershock was, "We kill the main character in the first 2 pages."
They do.
I mentioned it on my top 10 list, and somebody got mad at me because they said I spoiled it. I go, but it's in their tagline. It's literally in the advertisement. It's right there.
Exactly.
And
they do. They lop off his head, and then the time cops come and say, "Nope, we got to get you back over here because we need you to fix the timeline."
It didn't last.
It didn't last. No. Comic books. But it was a lot of fun. If you haven't been checking this one out, it's definitely one of the better books by Aftershock right now, and I've been having a lot of fun reading this one. Okay, and the next book is Wind number 1 by Boom Studios. Of course, this one written by James Tynion IV. Tiny and Tynion, I always forget. Art by Michael Dialynas. I think that's how you say his name. And I'm just going to say right off the bat that I'm going to give this book the benefit of the doubt. Because truthfully, after reading it, I was not impressed with it. I didn't quite like it. You got a chance to read this one, right?
Yeah, this is the only book. Well, I'm sorry, I read Death Metal.
Okay.
So I read Death Metal and I read this one, and I hated this book. I didn't like. I was really looking forward to it because I'm a fan of James Tynion, and so I read it last week, and it did not interest me whatsoever. I was kind of going into it like, I really enjoyed Folklords. I thought maybe this kind of has a little bit of fantasy type thing to it, and it did for the most part, but I didn't care about the characters at all. They did not set it up to where, for one, there's really no reason for the book. They don't put a dilemma in the first issue, like a problem that needs to be solved, really. They introduce you to main character who's on the front cover, and a very lazy introduction, I think. And he really has no point in the story at all, besides they just introduced him.
Right.
And then they switch to this other character, and they introduce him, and apparently he's friends with like the king's son or something like that. And that's really about it.
That's it.
And it's an oversized book. I mean, it's like 40 some odd pages, and the ending of the book is horrible because this book was written as a graphic novel.
Right.
So there's no like cliffhangers. It should be probably read as a graphic novel, not a single issue one after another, because it doesn't have that cliffhanger ending, and then you go to issue 2 and then it starts back up again. So the end, I flipped the page, I was like, that was it?
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the closing for this issue 1? It was a really disappointment. I haven't said that about a Boom book in a long time.
In a long time, absolutely.
So, I don't know.
I would agree with you on most of the points that you're talking about. Of course, I'll say the reason why I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt is exactly from what you just said. This was originally written as a graphic novel, and it was written by James Tynion, and I've kind of come to have some faith in him because he's been writing some really good stuff. And but I think the thing that got to me was the fact that the trope in the story is one we've heard before. We have the magical kingdom, which the humans don't want anything to do with, and so they've kind of suppressed everything magic. They don't want anything to do with it. We got some scenes that are kind of Harry Potter-like with some plants that are in the garden that are alive, and it's up to them to kill those plants before they grow because the magic can infect humans. And then the main character of the story has pointy ears, so he's like part of the magic kingdom. He has to hide those ears, obviously, because if he gets caught, it's not good. And so I'm kind of getting like a Kung Fu Panda type, situation where, the cook has kind of adopted the kid, and that's kind of what's going on here. But there really wasn't anything to tie the story together. There really wasn't anything that made me want to say, I want issue 2.
Yeah.
And because of that, I probably wouldn't get issue 2. But because of the fact that, like you just said, it was based on a graphic novel, I do have faith in James Tynion.
Yeah.
I will get issue 2. But if it doesn't go anywhere in issue 2, I probably won't go anywhere with it because I didn't like the artwork. The artwork is kind of a mix between what Matt Kent, or I think that was his name, in Folklords, and kind of a manga style. And I didn't really like the mix of it. And I mean, there's some good dialogue inside of it, but there was really nothing that I could write home about and say, you should get this book. So, kind of a disappointment. Definitely check it out for yourself. But there you go. Win number 1 by Boom Studios. Tell me what you think in the comments about it. And now for our 4th book. We have Dark Knight's Death Metal number 1. Man, I've been waiting for this book to come out for a long time. This one by DC Comics, of course, written by the great team of Snyder and Capullo. Snyder on writing, Capullo on art. And were you a fan of the original Dark Knight's Metal?
No, I never read any of them. That was the thing. And I read this book, I felt really lost because you definitely have to have some history with the Dark Knight or Metal, whatever series it was.
Sure.
They were coming out when I just started collecting again, and I just kind of missed the wagon on that one. So I'm trying to get on this one. I read it, and I liked it, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I have no clue, so I gotta do some research.
For sure. These are books that when I first got back into collecting, I was very interested in because of the concept. I thought that Batman Who Laughs was one of the most intriguing drawn characters that I'd seen in a long time. So I went and I picked up all of the hardbound trades.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, it was one of the first crossover series that I read every book and I loved it. I loved the whole concept. I loved all of the tie-ins, and normally on big event books like that, they don't work for me, but this one amazingly did. And so my son has those right now.
Nice. When
he gives them back to me, I'll give them to you because they're really worth the read.
That's a lot of work.
But it'll be worth it, I guarantee it. But this kind of picks up, even if you had read those books, you're still going to be a little lost. I think Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers even said that, because the story picks up kind of way in the future, after the Batman Who Laughs and Futura, I think is her name. I can't remember the exact name, but they've already won.
Okay.
And so, you know, the universe is being conquered world by world. All the multiverse is being conquered world by world, and we find some of our greatest heroes basically enslaved to the Batman Who Laughs, and I think Futura is. I think that's what her name is. And so we find our characters in a precarious situation, and of course Bruce Wayne is trying to stop all this, and he's not going to be successful because the Batman Who Laughs thinks exactly like he does. So there's no surprise he's ever going to bring to the table that's going to defeat him. But the Batman Who Laughs does not know Diana Prince. He does not know Wonder Woman, and so there's a chance here, and we got some things forming in ways that she may be able to start a revolution going forward to basically turn the tides of the war. Really excited about this. I'm really excited about all the tie-ins. There's going to be a ton of them coming out. But I definitely think that for a first read, if you've read the original series, really good. There was a interim series in Justice League that Scott Snyder did, which is really good. Has the Legion of Doom in it, which, I mean, that's the reason why I picked those books up. But it became kind of like this interim story in between the two events, which is really good. You don't have to read that one, you know, to get into this, but that's also really well done. I think Snyder is going to kill it on this. I think this is the death knell of what they were going to do with the fifth generation or whatever it was. And I think this is the way they originally were supposed to go, and I think this is going to, you know, steer the course right, get rid of that fifth generation stuff. But this one is definitely an amazing read. Can't wait to see where they go with it next.
Well, let me ask you real quick, and this is kind of a nitpick thing, and Marvel does this as well with some of their characters. But do you like the red lettering bubble? I find it kind of hard to read with the black bubble and the red letters for like the Batman Who Laughs. I know Marvel does it for like Carnage and Venom and stuff like that. I don't. It's a nitpicky, like I said, but I have a hard time reading that little bubble.
I like that it's the nuance, so that you can tell it's different. Because I read it different in my head when I see those. I don't like them when it's a dark background. When it's a dark background, I have a hard time with it. When it's a light background, I don't mind it so much.
Sure.
But I can see where you're going with that for sure. But you know, I like the fact that they are using different methods to differentiate between voices in the book. That one may be a little too gimmicky. But
when you read it, what does it sound like in your head?
I kind of hear
Like Tattoo from Fantasy Island?
Yeah, exactly. Hervé Villachez. There you go. I'm going to get you, Batman.
That's weird.
They're playing.
Okay.
There we go. Anyway, there you go, folks. Check out Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. Great read. Could have been my pick of the week, but it's not. That's coming up. Okay, so our next book is The Question. The Deaths of Vic Sage, #3. This one is written by Jeff Lemire, and art is the great team of Sienkiewicz and Cohen. Have you been reading this book at all?
No, it's too big.
You don't like those?
I don't like the magazine-sized books, man. It bothers me a little bit.
Is it like an OCD thing? You
Maybe.
got these books over here, and then it doesn't match up with the rest of your books?
Everything has to be Smurfy.
Smurfy, here we go.
And that doesn't fit. So.
Okay, I'm cutting this part out.
Oh, come on. Come on. Keep it going. Keep it going.
There we go. All right, so the question is, of course, DC Black Label, and it is magazine format. Whether you like those or not, this book is definitely a good read. Book 2, I didn't really like as much. It kind of left me in a place of, I was confused. This book, #3, I think starts to bring it into fruition. I wasn't as confused. I kind of understand book 2 now a little bit better. But you know, we're seeing Vic in different timelines, and we had him in the Old West, and you know, now we have him in this book in a 40s kind of noir. Kind of reminds me of, and I'll agree with Robbie on this, from Pop Culture Philosophers. It reminds me of the old 80s run that Denny O'Neil did with Sienkiewicz and Cohen back in the 80s. Great run. And it kind of, you know, put me on firm footing there. I had a lot of fun reading this. It's dark, it's gritty. The artwork by Sienkiewicz and Cohen, just absolutely amazing. We still are not completely 100% sure of what's going on, but I think I know where it's going inside of the book. Definitely, if you haven't been reading these ones, I think it's worth picking up. I am surprised that it's going to be going to a 4th issue.
Yeah.
I really thought that it was going to be 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how many actual issues it's going to be, but this, I think, was the best of the 3 books so far, and I really enjoyed it. So, check it out. Let me know what you think about this one. It's definitely worth a pickup. That was my pick of the week.
What's the question?
Oh, man, I completely forgot about it. You killed me, man.
Well, I didn't do nothing. You completely forgot the question.
I
What's
know.
the question? The book.
You definitely make me laugh at myself. There you go. How about that?
That's good stuff.
It is. All right, folks, here we go. Here we go with my pick of the week. This week's pick is Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3. This is one of the, again, magazine format DC Black Label books. This has got story and artwork by Daniel Warren Johnson. This book is amazing. It really is. You reviewed the first book, right?
Yeah, we did that together.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed the first book.
For sure.
And I don't think I got the second one, and I haven't got the third one as well. And one of the things we noticed about the first one is Daniel Warren Johnson's artwork is an acquired taste.
It is.
And one of the things I had a problem with was his artwork with the Wonder Woman character herself.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit right. You know, I like his artwork on some other stuff, but seeing the Wonder Woman character and the way he drew her was kind of off-putting. But his writing in this book was great. From the first issue, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So his writing is amazing. The story from beginning all the way up until this book has been amazing. And you're right. The artwork is kind of a grittiness to it. I kind of had problems in the beginning because there were a couple of panels where sometimes she looks African American, sometimes she looks like Rosie O'Donnell, and it was kind of like all over the place. But I will have to say this: his use of panels, his use of action, his nuance, so well done.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. And the only thing off-putting for me is what you just said, is the Wonder Woman character itself.
Yeah.
That's not how I see Diana Prince. But when you look at the action that he presents and some of the use of the page and the way he presents panels, so amazing.
Yeah.
So well done.
If you look at his Murder Falcon, which he did that for Image, I believe, it's a beautiful book.
Really? I have not read that one.
It's beautiful. I mean, the artwork on there, awesome. It fits. Like I said, just the character herself, it was just so different.
Different, for sure. But, you know, here we are, and we're in the third book, and now we're kind of finding out why Diana woke up in that first book, kind of with amnesia, not knowing where she's at. And we find out inside of this book, and I'm just going to lay it out there, spoilers, the reason why she's got amnesia is because she used her power to basically kill Superman. And we get a panel of her trying to go to the Man of Steel for help. She opens up the chamber where he's at, and there's a robotic Superman in there that kind of has a part of Kal-El's consciousness. And there's a throne, there's a big hole in Superman's chest, and Diana has come to the realization that it was her that killed him.
I knew it.
It was such a shocker. But the way the story has come full circle is it's basically putting it out there that, you know, even us gods are damaged just like humans are, and we have faults.
There's one more book to go on this, right?
Yeah, I think there's one more.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Because I had so much fun reading this from beginning to end. It really brings out the heart of Diana in a way that I've never seen before. She's very vulnerable. The relationship between her and Cheetah inside of this goes even further, and you kind of find out why Cheetah has kind of let go of her hatred of her and started to cling to her as a friend. And so how those two come together is beautiful. It's really well done.
You're my Cheetah.
Is that right? I'm your Cheetah. I'm your Dr. Minerva. All right.
Being your Superman,
I guess, right? There you go. We'll get into that one later. But really, it is such a well done book, and I had so much fun reading it. The use of panels inside of this is greater than anything I've seen this week in the comics. Check this one out, folks. If you have been reading it, definitely go pick up the first two. It's a great story so far, and I can't wait to see how he ends it.
Yeah.
So that's pick of the week, folks. Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3. It's definitely an awesome read. So there you go. There are our reviews for the week. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And of course, I always end this with my panel of the week. And this week's panel of the week does come from Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3. And the panel is actually not just a single panel, but it's a double-page spread of panels. It is the action between Wonder Woman and Superman as they fight. They go kind of a flashback to the fight. There's some crushing blows. You can feel it. And I've never seen Diana so angry. And it really brings home the fact that she may have just be the strongest of the three. Of course, when we had our roundtable and we did our Avengers pick, I did pick Wonder Woman as my immortal on the team. And I picked her because she had actually slit Superman's throat with her tiara at one point. She is powerful. But in this, it showed just how powerful she was. An amazing scene of action. That's the panel of the week, folks. Hope you dig it.
Had to throw in your Avengers panel.
Have to throw in the Avengers panel. There you go.
All right.
Right? I mean, but you got what, Dupe, man, right?
Your Dupe was in there.
Dupe was in there. I mean, if you put Dupe on a team, man, you're winning right there.
Rocket Raccoon, Dupe, Punk, Howard the Duck, and Wolverine.
There you go.
Galactus and Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
That was your leader, right?
Yeah.
Picard.
Yeah.
That was so good. We had a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that one, check out some of my earlier videos. Check out the Avengers Roundtable Battle Draft 2020. It was a good one. And so, but that's the show, folks. I hope you enjoyed the reviews. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, the new Coffee and Comics show drops on Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go check out his latest preview video. Leave a comment if you want to chime in on that conversation. It's going to be a really good one. Really looking forward to that. And hey, we're going to keep doing this going forward. Having so much fun with it. Thank you guys so much. I am so close to 1,000 subscriibers.
Hey, what's up with that, man?
15 away.
And you're going backwards.
I know. What happened?
You were 12 away. Hello.
Had a few people drop off. That's okay. That happens. But I'm very close. Again, thank you guys for all the support. And it really has been an amazing ride so far. Remember, folks, always support your local comic shop and Excelsior. Take care.
Continue to debate whether Logan's claws could pierce Steve Rogers'